The first thing you need to know about my neighborhood, Willow Creek Estates, is that Willow Creek is a drainage ditch, and Estates is marketing for houses built so close together you can hear your neighbor's toaster. The second thing you need to know is Brenda Crum. My name is Frank Henderson. I'm a graphic designer, which is a nice way of saying I sit at a computer in my sweatpants for 10 hours a day, arguing with clients over which shade of beige pops more. The work-from-home life means I have an intimate relationship with my surroundings. I know the mailman's route, I know which neighbor's dog barks at 3:15 p.m., Gary's beagle, and I know with obsessive certainty the precise condition of my front lawn. I'm not a bad neighbor. My gutters are mostly clean. I bring my trash cans in on the same day. I don't play loud music, but I have one point of obsessive, borderline psychotic pride. My lawn. My lawn is my masterpiece. It's my Sistine Chapel. It is my rebellion against the suffocating HOA-mandated taupe that has claimed every other vertical surface in this neighborhood. And I have a secret. It's not just Scott's turf builder. It's not just aeration. Oh no, I have a system. Once a month, under the cover of darkness, I drag my industrial-sized pump sprayer out of the shed. Into it goes a proprietary blend I've spent 3 years perfecting. 1 part blackstrap molasses, for the microbes, 2 parts cheap beer, Pilsner for the yeast, and the pièce de résistance, a full quart of a specific brand of fish emulsion I have to special order from Alaska. The smell is, to put it mildly, breathtaking. It's like a whale died in a brewery. I do it at 3 a.m. to avoid the questions. But the result? Oh, the result. My lawn is a green so deep, so vibrant, it looks like a high-dollar CGI effect. It's a velvety, electric, almost humming, kryptonite green. It's the only interesting thing in a square mile. And Brenda Crum hated it. Brenda is our HOA president. She's a woman who wears a perpetually clicked-open ballpoint pen on a lanyard and a tennis visor, even indoors. She doesn't walk, she patrols. She rides a silent beige golf cart with a small flapping WCHOA flag on the back. Her face is set in a permanent expression of, "I've just found an unapproved mailbox." I was on my hands and knees, edging the driveway with a pair of shears, a power edger is too imprecise for the curve, when her shadow fell over me. The golf cart had, as usual, made no sound. "Mr. Henderson," I sighed, the scent of fresh-cut grass and my own sweat filling my lungs. I sat back on my heels. "Brenda, to what do I owe the pleasure? Clipboard looks heavy today." She ignored my pleasantry, which was fine. It wasn't really a pleasantry. She clicked her pen. "I'm fielding concerns about the color saturation of your turf." I blinked, genuinely confused. I wiped a bit of dirt off my cheek. "The what now?" "Your lawn." She pointed the pen at my masterpiece. "It's aggressively green." I looked at my lawn. I looked back at her. "Aggressively?" "It's out of compliance with the harmonious earth tone palette of the community. See Bylaw 47C, subsection 9. Community aesthetic harmony. It's distracting. Mr. Henderson at 119 says the glare is affecting his television reception." "He's... what?" "Brenda, that's literally impossible. It's grass." "The color is non-standard. It's lurid. It draws the eye and creates visual discord." I stood up, brushing off my knees. I wanted to ask her if her visor was also in the harmonious earth tone palette, but I behaved. Mostly. It's grass, Brenda. It's supposed to be green. You want me to… what? Make it sadder? Should I withhold water? Maybe introduce some nice, harmonious crabgrass? Her eyes narrowed. That was my mistake. Sarcasm is blood in the water for a creature like Brenda. I'm noting this as a preliminary warning. I expect to see steps taken toward remediation. We are a community of uniformity, Mr. Henderson. Your kryptonite green, as I heard you call it to Mr. Peterson, is not uniform. She hadn't heard me call it that. She'd read my texts. My neighbor, Mike Peterson, was on the board. That traitor. Good day, she said, and with a silent whir, she and her golf cart zipped away, leaving only the faint scent of vinyl seats and self-satisfaction. I stared at the lawn. Aggressively green, I muttered. I laughed it off. What were they going to do? Fine me for excellence? That night, just to be safe, I gave the lawn an extra spritz of beer. A week passed. The lawn, spurred on by my defiance, only grew more vibrant. It was like it knew. It was mocking her. Then the envelope appeared. It wasn't a normal envelope. It was beige. Not white, not manila. Beige. The official color of joylessness. It was taped to my front door because I'd refused to sign for it when the mailman came. Certified mail, it read, in a severe, joyless font. I brought it inside, holding it like it was a dead rat. I poured a cup of coffee and sat down. To the homeowner of 124 Juniper Lane, it began, from the Willow Creek Estates Homeowners Association Architectural Review Committee. The Architectural Review Committee. Not even Brenda herself. She'd escalated. I read the letter's guts aloud to my empty kitchen, my voice dripping with disbelief. It has come to our attention that the ground cover at your property is in violation of community standards. The vibrant, near-synthetic Kelly green of the turf at 124 Juniper Lane is in direct violation of Bylaw 47C, blah, blah, blah. Community aesthetic harmony. And then, the key phrase. This level of hyper-green creates visual discord and fails to blend with the muted natural tones of the surrounding landscape. Homeowner must remediate the lawn to a more subdued, natural, and seasonally appropriate shade, e.g., a dormant, Bermuda or standard fescue palette. Dormant Bermuda, I whispered. I grabbed my phone and Googled it. It was brown. They were demanding I have a brown lawn. But oh, it got better, the kicker. Failure to remediate the non-compliant color within 14 days of this notice will result in daily fines of $50. $50. I was incandescent with rage. Remediate? They want me to kill my lawn? Dormant Bermuda? That's dead grass. They're fining me for having the only living thing in this entire beige wasteland. I immediately called Mike, the neighbor. The traitor. Hello? Mike, you will not believe the crap Brenda just pulled, and thanks for ratting me out on Kryptonite Green, you Benedict Arnold. Oh, hey Frank. Look, I had to. She was asking everyone. What happened? Did she get you for the gutters? My grass. She's fining me because my grass is too green. She's demanding I make it brown. There was a long, tired sigh on the other end of the line. Dude, I don't know, spray some weed killer on it or something. Just kill a patch. Make it look natural. It's not worth the fight. Brenda's a nightmare. She made me repaint my doorbell. Your doorbell? It was unapproved brass. Had to be brushed nickel. Just give in, man. It's easier. I looked out the window at my perfect, beautiful, aggressively green lawn. I thought about the fish emulsion, the molasses, the 3 a.m. feedings. I hung up on Mike. Kill it? I said to the empty room. No, 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 no. I read the letter again. Homeowner must remediate the lawn to a more subdued shade. Wait. Remediate the non-compliant color. It didn't say I had to kill it. It said I had to remediate the color. She wants a different color. Fine, I said, a slow, evil, magnificent smile spreading across my face. She'll get a different color. I went to my computer. I opened a new tab. I typed, exterior grade bulk paint. My first few calls were unhelpful. I started with landscapers, thinking they'd have some kind of special turf paint. Call 1, Greenleaf Landscaping. Greenleaf, this is Todd. Hi, Todd. I have a question about lawn coloring. I need to paint my grass. You mean like with ironite? To green it up? No, Todd. I mean paint it with paint, like from a can. You want to… what? Paint the grass? Sir, we cut grass. We don't paint it. Click. Call 2, Total Turf Solutions. Total Turf, how can I help? Hi, yeah, I've got about 2,000 square feet of fescue I need painted. Painted. Yes, painted. Is this a prank? Who is this? Is this Steve? Steve, is that you? You know I'm on probation. Click. This was getting me nowhere. These guys were artists, but they had no vision. I was thinking outside the box, and they were still mowing in straight lines. I needed a different kind of artist. I needed someone who saw a job, not a logic puzzle. I changed tactics. I Googled house painters near me and scrolled past all the ones with pristine vans and matching polos on their websites. I scrolled until I found it. Sal's Superior Exteriors. We'll paint anything. The website looked like it was from 1998. The logo was in word art. It was perfect. I called the number. A voice that sounded like it ate gravel for breakfast answered on the second ring. Sal's, what do you got? Hi, Sal. My name is Frank. I have an unconventional exterior project. Unconventional. I like it. What is it, a mural? We don't do murals. Faces are hard. No, not a mural. It's a horizontal surface, about 2,000 square feet. Deck, patio, we do epoxy. Got a garage floor needs a fleck coat? I took a deep breath. Lawn. There was a long, profound pause on the other end. I heard Sal cover the phone. His whisper was like a cheese grater. Gee, get in here. This guy says lawn. He came back on the line. A lawn? That's right. Fescue. Very healthy, very dense. Should take a coat nicely. You want to paint your grass? And I need it done by Friday, I said, pushing my advantage. The HOA is on my case. I'll pay cash. And I have a very specific color in mind. Another pause. I heard a muffled grunt from G in the background. Then Sal's gravelly voice came back, and I could hear the smile in it. HOA, huh? Say no more. We'll be there in 20. Exactly 19 minutes later, a van that looked like it had lost a fight with a rhinoceros pulled up to my curb. It was white, but with so many splatters of different colored paint, it looked like a Jackson Pollock. The side said, Sal's Superior Exteriors, in a font that was definitely peeling. 2 men got out. One was Sal. He was short, built like a fire hydrant, and had a magnificent gray mustache. The other, G, was just large. He was tall, wide, and wore a pair of paint-splattered overalls with no shirt underneath. He just grunted in greeting. "All right," Sal said, pulling a measuring tape off his belt. "Where's the lawn?" "This way," I said. I walked them around the side of the house to the front yard. My perfect, beautiful, kryptonite green lawn. Sal stopped dead. He whistled, low and long. "Holy hell, kid, that's some green grass. What are you feeding this thing?" G just grunted, but it was an impressed grunt. "Nice." "That's the problem," I said. "The HOA. They say it's aggressively green, and I have to remediate the color. So, here we are." Sal stroked his chin, walking a small circle on the turf. "Remediate. That's a $10 word. They want it, what, dead?" "They suggested dormant Bermuda. I was thinking, this." I reached into my back pocket and pulled out a paint swatch I'd picked up from Home Depot that morning. I unfolded it and handed it to Sal. He held it up. It was labeled SF-108, Atomic Pink. It was a color so bright, so obnoxious, it almost vibrated. It was the color of a flamingo that had been fed nothing but radioactive waste. It was the color of Pepto-Bismol's evil radioactive twin. Sal and G looked at the swatch. They looked at the lawn. They looked at each other. G cracked a small, terrifying smile. Sal just stared at the swatch for a solid 10 seconds, and then he threw his head back and barked a laugh. It was a wonderful, terrible sound, like a seal being surprised. "HOA, huh? Oh, this is beautiful." He slapped me on the back, nearly knocking me over. "Kid, you're a poet. This is the best damn thing I've heard all year. Gee, we're gonna need the big compressor, the industrial one, and 40 gallons of primer." I blinked. "Primer? For grass?" Sal looked at me like I was an amateur. "Kid, you're putting a light color over a dark one. You gotta prime. You want this to pop, don't you? You want that atomic to really sing? You gotta lay down a white base coat. We're not gonna half-ass this, kid. If we're painting a lawn, we're gonna do it right." How much?" I asked, suddenly terrified of my own brilliant idea. Sal looked at the lawn, then at the swatch. "For this? For the sheer joy of it? Cash, you said? I'll do it for $2,000. Primer, 2 coats of the pink, and all the drop cloths. We'll tape off the house, the driveway, everything. It'll be clean, professional." It was half my mortgage payment. "You're hired," I said. Friday, 7:00 a.m., on the dot. Sal's van was parked at the curb, and it sounded like a small engine was running in the back. The big compressor. Sal and G got out, all business. They weren't just painters. They were commandos. They started taping blue drop cloths all the way around my foundation. They covered my rose bushes. They taped off the entire perimeter of my driveway and the city sidewalk. They were treating my lawn like it was a '67 Mustang getting a custom flame job. "You just watch, kid," Sal said, giving me a wink. "This is going to be a masterpiece." At 7:30 a.m., the industrial paint compressor roared to life. It wasn't a whir. It was a jet engine. Lights flickered in my house. My neighbor's dog, the 3:15 p.m. beagle, started barking its head off. Curtains began to twitch, all up and down Juniper Lane. Phase 1. The primer. G manned the compressor. Sal held the spray gun. He started at the far corner, and with long, even strokes, he began to erase my lawn. My perfect, beautiful kryptonite green vanished, systematically, under a thick, flat coat of corpse-like white. It was horrifying. I stood on my porch, sipping coffee, my hand shaking slightly. My lawn was gone. It was a ghost lawn. It looked like a snowstorm had hit only my property. Mike, my traitorous neighbor, peeked over the fence, his eyes wide with terror. "Frank," he whisper-yelled, ducking as if Brenda might see him. "Frank, what is happening? Did you bleach your lawn? Oh my God, you've killed it!" I took a calm sip of my coffee. "Priming, Mike," I called back, loud enough for others to hear. "You gotta prime, otherwise the color won't pop." Mike just stared at me, his mouth open. "Pop? What are you—" He didn't get to finish. Sal had finished the primer coat. He gave G a nod. G went to the van, did something, and came back wheeling 2 giant 20-gallon buckets. He cracked the lids. Phase 2. The pink. Even from the porch, I could smell it. The chemical tang of industrial-grade latex. Sal dipped a mixer into the bucket and attached it to a drill. The compressor kicked back on. He filled the sprayer, aimed it at the white, and pulled the trigger. The first spray hit the white, and it was blinding. It wasn't just pink, it was atomic pink. It was the color I'd dreamed of. It was the color of a highlighter pen that had been struck by lightning. It was a shade of pink that screamed, "I have made a terrible mistake, and I am proud of it." It was glorious. I just stood there, mesmerized. I watched the sheer, wonderful absurdity of these 2 professional painters in their white overalls, which were now getting heavily splattered with pink, meticulously applying 2 perfect, even coats of neon pink to a suburban lawn. They cut in around the mailbox. They were careful. They were about halfway through the second coat when I heard the squeaking of beige sneakers on pavement, moving at an alarming speed. Brenda Crum had arrived. She power-walked up the driveway, her visor vibrating with a rage so pure it was almost visible. "What is going on here?" It wasn't a question. It was a screech. A tea kettle reaching its boiling point. Sal, to his eternal credit, didn't even turn around. He just kept spraying. "Mornin', lady. We're working here. 'Appreciate it if you stood back. This stuff's oil-based." Brenda's eyes were tiny slits. She turned to me. I was leaning against the porch railing, grinning from ear to ear. "Morning, Brenda," I said, giving her a cheerful little wave. "Just remediating, per your request. You said the green was out, so I'm trying a new palette. What do you think?" She was literally sputtering. This is pink." "Keen eye, Brenda. Atomic pink, to be precise. SF-108. It's got a lovely semi-gloss finish. Should be durable." "This is not an approved color. This is not in the harmonious earth tone palette. This is a violation. This is vandalism." I pulled the beige letter from my back pocket and unfolded it. "Brenda, the letter said remediate the non-compliant color. The color was hyper green. It didn't specify to what I had to remediate it. Well, as you can see, this also isn't green, so technically I've cured the violation. The hyper green is gone. You're welcome." Her mouth opened and closed. No sound came out. She was processing my logic, and she hated it. "I am calling the police!" she finally shrieked. "I am calling the county! This is a public nuisance!" "You do that," I said, taking another sip of coffee. "Ask them to bring sunglasses." She spun on her heel, her beige sneakers squeaking in fury, and stormed off down the street, stabbing at her phone. Sal stopped spraying for a moment and looked back at me. He gave me a single, slow thumbs up. Then he went back to painting my lawn. An hour later, the job was done. Sal and G, true professionals, peeled up all the drop cloths. There wasn't a speck of pink on my driveway, my sidewalk, or the foundation of my house. It was a perfect 2,000 square foot rectangle of the most obnoxious color ever conceived by man. My lawn was a neon pink carpet. It was so bright, it looked like it was humming. It cast a faint, rosy glow on the front of my HOA mandated beige house. Sal wiped his hands on a rag. "Well, kid," he said, that gravelly voice full of pride. "There she is. We'll be back in the truck. You just let us know when you want to go back to green." "Thank you, Sal," I said, handing him a thick envelope of cash. It's more beautiful than I ever imagined." "Attaboy," he said, and he and G drove off, leaving me alone with my creation. The neighborhood, for the first time ever, was not quiet. Cars were slowing down as they drove by, then stopping. People were getting out to take pictures. A group of teenagers on skateboards rolled past, and one of them just pointed and yelled, "Sick!" And they all gave me a round of applause. My phone was exploding. It was Mike. "Dude, I'm looking out my window. Dude!" I texted him back. "Harmonious, isn't it?" The fines started within the hour. Brenda wasn't playing. She marched back over, said nothing to me, and used blue painter's tape, which was, I noted, not an approved color, to tape the first notice to my door. $50, non-compliant ground cover. Green. I peeled it off. But it's not green, I said to myself. An hour later, another one. $100,000, unapproved aesthetic alteration, pink. An hour after that. $50,000, nuisance visual. Is nuisance visual even a real thing? I wondered. She was just making them up now. By 4:00 p.m., I was up to $200 in fines, and I saw what I'd been waiting for. A white and blue police cruiser, rolling slowly down Juniper Lane. It pulled to a stop right in front of my house. Brenda was on her porch, arms crossed, watching with a smug look of triumph. This was it. The cavalry had arrived to save her from the pink. My heart was thumping, but I kept my cool. I walked down the driveway as two officers got out. One was Officer Miller. He was older, with a face that looked like it had seen every stupid thing humanity had to offer, and he was just tired. The other was Officer Blevins. He was young, a rookie, and he was biting his lip so hard I thought he might draw blood. He was trying very hard not to laugh. "Afternoon, sir," Officer Miller said, his voice a monotone of pure exhaustion. We got a call from a Ms. Brenda Crum about a property dispute." "Afternoon, officer. Welcome. Can I help you?" I said, as if nothing was amiss. Officer Blevins cleared his throat, staring at the lawn. "Wow," he said, unable to help himself. That's pink." "Yes, sir. Atomic pink," I replied politely. Officer Miller sighed, pinching the bridge of his nose. He looked like he was one loud party call away from retirement. "Sir, Ms. Crum alleges that you have, destroyed community property." "This is my property, officer," I said calmly. "And it's not destroyed. It's just painted. She sent me this letter." I handed him the original beige letter. She said my grass was too green, and I had to remediate the color. So I did. I'm just following the HOA's instructions to the letter. Officer Blevins turned away, pretending to check his radio. His shoulders were shaking. Officer Miller took the letter from me. He read it. A look of profound, soul-deep exhaustion crossed his face. He read the words hyper-green and visual discord out loud, very slowly. Hyper-green, he repeated, as if tasting the word. Yes, sir, I said. It's gone now, completely remediated. Miller looked at my lawn. He looked at Brenda, who was watching from her porch, tapping her foot. He looked back at me. He handed the letter back. Sir, he said, as far as I can tell, you haven't broken any laws. It's your house. It's your grass. It's tacky as all hell, he added. But it's not a criminal matter. Thank you, officer, I said, my chest swelling with relief. This is a civil matter, Miller continued, now raising his voice to shout across the lawn at Brenda. Ma'am, this is a civil matter. Stop calling 911. This is not an emergency. Brenda's face, even from 50 feet away, turned a shade of atomic pink that almost matched my lawn. The officers got back in their cruiser. As they pulled away, I saw Officer Blevins finally bust out laughing, pointing at the house. He really did it! Remediate! Oh my God, Miller, did you see her face? I gave Brenda a little wave. She stormed back into her house. It was a good day. The high from the police win lasted about 48 hours. The pink lawn was now famous. I was getting emails from local blogs. The Willow Creek Estates Facebook page was an absolute war zone. Half the neighborhood thought I was a hero. The other half thought I was a demon sent to destroy their property values. But Brenda, I learned, did not fight with Facebook comments. She fought with lawyers. The next letter wasn't beige. It was on thick, white, expensive-looking cardstock, and it came from the law firm of Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe, which I felt had to be a joke, but wasn't. It was a formal cease and desist. It demanded I immediately return the property to its natural state, which I found rich coming from them, and pay $2,000 in accumulated fines for the grievous and willful violation of community bylaws. This was getting expensive. I was worried. I sat on my porch, staring at the lawn. The Victory was starting to look a little sad. It had rained the night before, and the paint hadn't run exactly, but the driveway was definitely bleeding Pepto-Bismol. A small patch near the curb had been missed, and a single, defiant, kryptonite green blade of grass was poking through, like a tiny middle finger. Sal and G's professional job was still holding, but the sheer glowing wrongness of it was starting to wear on me. The rosy glow it cast into my living room was giving me a permanent headache. Was this worth $2,000 in fines, plus the $2,000 I paid Sal, plus whatever it would cost to fix it? I was stewing. I was angry, and when I get angry, I get meticulous. I went to the hall closet and pulled out the binder they gave us at closing. The 300-page Willow Creek Estates Homeowners Association covenants, conditions and restrictions. The bylaws. I poured a very large glass of whiskey. I sat at my kitchen table, and I started reading, page after page after page of beige nonsense. Siding must be one of the 14 approved shades of Grega. Basketball hoops must be stored indoors no later than 6 o'clock p.m. All decorative lawn gnomes must not exceed 12 inches in height. My eyes were glazing over. I was on my second whiskey. I was on page 247. I was about to give up, just write the check, and go buy a few $100s worth of sod. And then I found it. The angel choir sang, A beam of light shot down from my beige kitchen ceiling. Section 88D. Holiday and event-based decorations. My heart started to pound. I read the text, my finger tracing the words. Decorations, including temporary ground cover alterations, e.g. celebratory signage, temporary ground dyes, colored lights, are permitted for a period not to exceed 30 days. I kept reading, looking for the catch. Provided they are in support of a recognized national holiday, e.g. to Christmas, 4th of July, community event, or personal celebration, e.g. happy birthday signs, welcome home banners, it's a boy-girl announcements. Personal celebration, I whispered. A slow, beautiful, evil idea began to form. I finished my whiskey. I grabbed my keys. I went to a party store. The next morning, at 8:00 a.m. sharp, Brenda stormed over. She had the lawyer's letter in her hand, a fresh stack of fines, and a look that said she was ready for round 2. She got halfway up my slightly pink-stained driveway, and she stopped. Dead. Her arm, which had been raised to bang on my door, just froze in mid-air. I had been to the party store, and I had bought signs. 2 new, professionally made, bright blue and pink yard signs. I'd placed them right in the middle of the neon pink lawn. One sign, on the left, in cheerful blue bubble letters, read, "It's a..." The other sign, on the right, in matching pink bubble letters, read, "Lawn." And, for good measure, I'd hung a giant banner across my garage that read, "Congratulations on the new thing." I opened my front door, holding a fresh cup of coffee. Brenda was absolutely speechless. She was just pointing, her mouth opening and closing. What? But. "Morning, Brenda," I said, with a voice full of celebratory cheer. "Isn't it wonderful? We're celebrating." "What is this?" she finally managed to sputter. "It's a personal celebration, Section 88D, I said, holding up my dog-eared copy of the bylaws. "My lawn is having a, well, I'm not sure what it is, but we're celebrating it. Temporary ground dye, see? Permitted. And the best part? We've got 29 more days of temporary ground dye, permitted before we have to take it down." Brenda looked at the "It's a lawn" sign. She looked at her clipboard. She looked at the bylaws in my hand. And she knew. She knew I had her. "So," I said, leaning against the door frame, the picture of magnanimity, "I'm happy to cure this, but the bylaws say I have 29 more days. Or we could just call the hyper-green fines and the atomic pink signs a wash, a clean slate. And you can just let me have my green grass back. When this celebration is over, of course." Brenda Crum said nothing. She just made a sound like a deflating tire. A long, slow, mournful pssh. Then she turned, and she walked away. The fines stopped. The lawyer's letters stopped. The pink faded over the next month into a sad, patchy salmon color. It was truly, deeply ugly. After 30 days, true to my word, I hired Sal and G again. They came back, scraped up the dead, painted grass, and for another $3,000, laid down brand new, beautiful, living sod. It cost me a fortune, but it was worth every single penny. My new lawn is just as green as the old one. I still give it the fish emulsion, but I do it at 4 a.m. now. And every time Brenda Crum passes my house in her little beige golf cart, she speeds up, and she never looks at my grass.